It is 9 o'clock. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh. Well, we'd certainly like to welcome all of you here in the courthouse and those of you joining us on Zoom. Our first order of business is to hear from CAASA.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephanie Henrich. I am the Executive Director for Centers Against Abuse and Sexual Assault. And today I come and tell you how it has been for the last year in Dickinson County. We also have seen increased cases in Dickinson County. In the last year, we've worked with 30 survivors in your county with direct support. And with direct support, it looks in many ways. We do legal and medical advocacy. We do 24-hour hotline. We have responded to crisis and on-scene crimes. We also have done medical advocacy, which is in the hospital and assisting and covering any relocation costs, anything that we could do for them, get them groceries or pay for their rent. That is what we've done. CAASA provides that kind of support throughout their healing process. There's not a time limit on when we stop helping the survivor. That's when their time, when they feel it's right, when we stop. CAASA is right now at about a 22% budget cut from CVAD, which is Crime Victims Assistance Division. Now that is where most of our funding comes from. I'm trying to make those changes so we're not so dependent on that funding, but it is what we do use most of our funding for. Right now, this year, we got $595,000. I can tell you that's about $250,000 down from the last application that we did to the state. So $478,000 of that is salaries, and your average advocate makes $32,613 a year. And I can tell you that isn't enough for what we do and the trauma that we see every day. Someday I would like to give them that 2.8% raise of that cost living, and I can't do such a thing. So I gotta hope my team stays with me for the ride a little bit while I make this happen and help their counties and get more funding so we can help each other. What we're looking at right now for fiscal 25 is request. Last year you gave us this. Last year you were giving us $5,000. We are requesting $8,000 as things have gone up. So is mileage. And also we pay 50 cents per mile. If you took 5 clients that came to us in Dickinson County, they were sexually assaulted, man or woman, had a family, and we had to relocate them and pay for their first month's rent. The $5,000 wouldn't even been enough. So it's kind of just to look at that, and then to have your advocates come into your area. I've got many advocates that are coming in. You have a bilingual advocate that comes in to help. You have also, Shauna is your local advocate for Dickinson County. She does a great job over here and is unfortunately pretty busy, but works well with your prosecutor attorney, with your victim witness coordinator, and the police also. We also are now going to have a training volunteer coordinator, which, let's face it, in a nonprofit world, we need it because every dollar counts when it comes to a volunteer hour. $19 an hour is what we can use to the state for volunteer hours. And right now, VOCA that we get from the state, we'll need a 25% match next year. Right now, for next year, we're looking at a 37% budget cut, and that's going to be it's going to be real hard for us, Region 1, with FCC, Safe Place, and with CAASA. We're all trying to do different things and different abuses, and I can tell you that we'll be struggling the next couple of years. We're hopeful that things will change, but right now we have to be in reality. Does anybody have any questions?
No questions, but a comment. I'm the chair of the Sioux Rivers Mental Health Region, and exactly what you're talking about with no raises. Pay scale is so low. We had a meeting last week and we were talking about funds that we had allocated for different projects that would help those that are dealing with mental illness.
Right.
A lot of that money we have to reallocate because they can't find employees. Nobody wants to work for.
No.
Nobody can afford to work for.
No.
And I think that's the biggest challenge that nobody's seen is that if the worker goes away, the help goes away. And if the help goes away, then what?
Well, and it's in our job too, and you with the medical field, as Shauna would say, if every time we get a new advocate, now you have to introduce her into the county. They have to trust that person.
Yep.
And also that client doesn't want to have 5 different advocates because it takes a while to trust and get that support because that person is their support person. The advocate is the most important person to that survivor. And if we keep on having that turnover and turnover because we can't pay them enough because McDonald's is giving them more money, well, then there's a problem with this situation. And I can tell you, I always tell them, they probably don't believe me, but I'm their number one fighter. I would love to give them a higher raise, but right now it's not reality and we just can't, but I also can't keep a good enough staff. Right now, I'm only 1 short and that's remarkable right now.
It is.
And I'm grateful for that. And our team is building and I'm really hoping that we can continue to keep the same team and go for this ride a little bit, because I think in the next couple of years, we're hopeful that things will turn around. I hope. But thank you for sharing. I think everybody's
Thank
going
you
through
for
the
your
same
work.
thing.
It's vitally important. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
what you do.
What,
Yes.
I'm curious, what would the consequences be if we fund it at a level similar to last year instead of the increase that you're asking for?
We're not, here's the thing. I try to tell them we'll do everything we can to keep on coming in to do, but we'll run out of money. Especially we'll have to result into different things like in their learning. Then sometimes they have to do a Zoom. If there is a bilingual advocate that has to come, especially our bilingual advocates for this area is in Buena Vista. Well, if they can't come here because we're running out of mileage, they'll just do a Zoom. We'll have to do other things. Now I can tell you, doing a Zoom on with a survivor is not effective. They don't feel that personal connection when they're talking to them, but it is something we've learned in COVID that we can do. So yeah, we're going to have to dumb it down. But I don't want to do that because this is somebody's life. We've seen huge mental health, suicide in our clients this last year. There's not enough money. We'd love to even give them more resources than even that there's out there right now. But the funding, we'll take whatever we can get. This is what we absolutely need to continue to do the work that we need to do. And
So if we use the $8,000 and you have 30 people you're working with, what's that, $275 a piece, and we're
$275
spending
apiece.
to help these folks.
right. If you imagine, and I bring this up only to show you, 85% right now, Shauna will tell you, most of her clientele is kids and secondary is the parents.
Yep.
We are dealing with children being sexually assaulted more than we've ever seen since COVID. I have a 1-year-old granddaughter that turned her birthday today. And I look at her and wonder, she has no voice. She can't tell anybody if somebody hurts her. Think about, those are some of our clientele now. And even up to one age, I think we have just think about that. They're selfless. They cannot defend themselves in any way. The more money we can get out there to teach our young people in the schools, Shauna can go and talk to them from kindergarten and up, to teach the teachers what to look for. I'd love a night with the parents because we're so busy on our phones and doing all the things. We don't take our time to look at what is important and to learn about what to watch for. Are they doing something wrong and the behavior changing? Those are signs of sexual assault or abuse. And we want to be able to help that. And with the funds, we'll be able to go in the schools too. So anything to help at this point.
But long-term, your funding pretty much relies on coming to people like us
It's a work in
and
progress.
essentially begging for it because you don't have any structured funding source whatsoever.
We are learning. So in the last 2 years,
That's
we are. So here's the good. So the last 2 years I've been working on that very much thing. Where do I find the funding to get us out of not being dependent over here? How do we get out of that? It's learning how to do something long-term. So we had a store in Cherokee that was a small little store for survivors. They could come in and they could get anything for free if they needed to relocate anywhere. And this went out to other agencies also. But also the community bought from our store. It's all household goods that are donated. So a year ago, I wrote the biggest grant that I've ever wrote, and I got it, $500,000 from the state of Iowa to build a brand new building, which I just opened last week, if you saw on KTIV. It was more than just a store. It's stability. It comes with, we hope about $90,000 to $100,000 in the next year. And that funding source to be stable, to come back into CAASA also. But not only that, the store is beautiful, and it was able to now give everybody in the community a chance to be able to afford a couch, a chair, or FCC or Upper Des Moines, or anybody to call me and say, Stephanie, I need a bed. Do you have one? Yes, you can have one. Like, that's what we need to find, is that stability funding source. And it's a work in progress. Finally, I have a board. It's taken about 2 years to find people that really want to be on a board. It's really hard. Everybody volunteers for everything these days. But we get on too many things, and the responsibilities just seem to fade away. And I do have a good solid board right now. And I think moving forward, that funding source, we're going to find another stable issue, because let's face it, fundraisers, it's real tough right now. A lot of people don't have a lot of money. So you're correct. That is the one thing I'm trying to build, is the funding source.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Any further questions? If not, thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. Happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, item 3, Lakes Area Hockey.
Hi there. My name is Scott Bradham. I'm president of Lakes Area Hockey Association, located right over by the YMCA. First off, I want to say thank you for your continued support of Lakes Area Hockey and what we do and what we try to strive for our youth and for the community here. For those of you that don't know about what Lakes Area Hockey is, it started out as pond hockey in Spear Park, where we used to flood the fields, and it was an outlet for young boys and girls to try and better themselves in a different sport that we didn't have in the area. Since then, it has grown into a facility. We do now have a indoor rink, indoor facilities that participates in anywhere from 5 to 6 tournaments a year, weekly activities of games, open skate rentals, trying to generate revenue as well too. All said and told, what that does is brings 100 to 125 kids, boys and girls, ages from 4 years old all the way up to 18, playing youth sports, youth hockey. We find that that's been a great involvement for those kids, and community involvement as well too for the school system. We do get a lot of the Milford, Esterville, Spencer, Spirit Lake Community School Districts that will do their PE programs or J-term programs with us as well too, just again to find a different outlet. Some of the things that Lakes Area Hockey or Lakes Ice Arena does generate for the area is it brings in anywhere from $50,000 to $60,000 per tournament weekend. We have 4 to 5 tournaments a year, and that's in that winter months when we generally don't have a whole lot of tourism in the winter months. Winter games is our kind of our staple, but this gives us something that the Lakes area can strive on and have 4 to 5 different times throughout that October to March area range, bringing in tax revenues, bringing in economic value to the area for lodging, restaurants, bars, different community activities as well too. What we do look for with the donations that you guys have given us and gifted us in the past years, we are 100% volunteer. We take money from our registration dues and take money from that we generate from concessions and tournament values, and we turn around and we put that into our chiller, which it costs to operate, turn that into our building facilities and everything else of that nature. So we are, again, 100% volunteer. Our families that do register, they are the ones that turn around and are there on Friday nights for open skate. They're the ones that are there manning the concession stand, the popcorn machine, manning the Zamboni, different things like that. So again, it's been a hard process to keep that building upright and keep it functioning with the uprising costs of energy costs and just building in general, building maintenance. So again, those donations that you do give to us help keep those registrations low, as well as help keep that maintaining of the facility as well. One thing we are looking at, and we're trying to kind of put a pin or a feather in our cap, is we are going solar, and it will be groundbreaking in the next, hopefully, we'll see what the weather here determines, but hopefully within the next month to 2 months, what we will be doing is a solar field on the backside of our facility, which will then help again offset some of those costs of registrations and energy costs as well too. Any questions? I don't know as if I did. No, we did lose. I will fill that out. I honestly, I did not, we had an executive director last year and I kind of got thrust into this position this year. So we're kind of picking up some of the pieces and figuring out where we can go with that, but I will submit that to Lori.
Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
Okay, next up is the approval of resolution 2023-30, approving and authorizing execution of DC Water Quality Commission 28E agreement. John, do you have anything to say on this?
It hasn't changed from when I was here before, but I'm happy to answer your question.
Well, I guess the question I had is, the amount you are desiring from the county is a raise of 6% from last year.
Correct.
And I believe our budget's only going to be 2 to 3%.
I guess what I'd like to do is to put this off till we get our actual numbers in from our budget, and then we can go through all the discretionary and make sure where this fits. We really don't know where we are right now. And that's normally this time of the year, I know pretty close where we're gonna be, and we don't have a clue really. I did want to fund the staff, and I'm glad we did that last week, but I don't know where we're gonna be for sure. And I don't know if anybody else does either. Do you guys? Or
Well, that's my feeling.
That's where
I
I'm
want to
at.
know where we're at before we start pledging money. I do like the program. I think you know that I'm very much in favor of water quality. It's a huge economic factor in our county. But we've got to see where we're at.
I like the fact that you have, if I read it right, you're gonna have more of an emergency fund available too.
Right.
That sounds like a really good idea with,
Is that the biggest reason for the increase, John?
So the increase comes from, so it's been 200,000 total for 21 years. And so that total 200,000 is $81,000 less value today than it was 21 years ago when it was set up. So partially to kind of get us back up to that. So 250,000 would be the total asking amount instead of 200,000, along with the ability to budget up to 300,000. So we could actually have a savings account of 50,000, which would be used as the emergency fund for aquatic invasive species. Looking at a quick reaction, you know, when we got Eurasian water milfoil, if you remember a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, people were scrambling to try to find the money, and you know, 50,000 doesn't go a long ways, but it would be something that could be a quick treatment or a quick reaction, which would give us then the ability to find the money that's needed behind the scenes. So that's kind of the idea of it.
the one question I had, and maybe I didn't read it close enough, but if you decided that one of the situations comes up where you have to act quickly, does that take a vote of members to discern? And would that be a quorum of just the people in attendance or a quorum of the members listed?
So our quorum is 50% of the members. And so 50 plus 1 of the members. And so we have to have 10 people present at every meeting. There's 18 representatives, 18 commissioners. So we have to have at least 10 people present in order to have a quorum. And so that would be what we'd require. And we can have meetings. We have quarterly meetings basically is what we do now, but we can have meetings anytime we want. It would take a meeting in which to distribute those funds.
So you'd have to have the public notice time and then national, so you're a week,
Three days
3
is
days.
the minimum, but yeah, a week.
How does that line up with the response time needed to attack a problem? Does that fit the calendar?
Yeah, like when the Eurasian water milfoil was found, 3 days or 5 days would have been perfect to quick treat that area around Triggs, the boat ramp at Triggs. But then they found it other places, and so it really didn't necessarily need to be treated quickly. But if we did, for example, find it just in that boat ramp, and we wanted to, they could close the ramp so that no boats are dragging it around the rest of the lakes, and then quickly treat it within a couple days or 3 days, 5 days. And so that's the idea of what we're trying to do here. I would say most times it would be a week. It would be easily within
Okay.
the realm.
I guess that was the only question I had. I just was curious how you had that worked out. Because it does seem like there's a greater deal of urgency when they find stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you would know, if it fits your schedule, it fits.
The quicker you find it, the quicker you eliminate that as a potential spreading event.
But back to the other issue, I really think we'll be doing our discretionary funding here a couple weeks, don't you think? Won't we have some numbers?
But whether we can afford it, we won't know until we have all our other budgets in.
Well, we're gonna know a lot when we get by the time we get those numbers in, we're gonna know quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, I agree. We should.
So right now, the county and Milford are the only two entities that have not approved it. And so that's where we're at. So
Well, don't go away thinking we don't believe in the programs, because we do. And in fact, you've got 2 members of your board here,
right.
so just hang in there. We'll see what shakes out.
Okay.
All right.
Okay,
Thanks, John.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
probably see you on the 15th.
Maybe what's the 15th?
Caucus.
No,
Oh, yeah.
that's kind of a gotcha question, isn't it?
No, it's just.
Happy
Thank
New
you,
Year,
Jack,
John.
too.
All right, item number 5 is the approval of the December 19th board meeting minutes. Did anyone see anything amiss?
Motion to approve.
Okay, Kim has moved.
Oh, I'll second that.
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
I
Tim.
was-
I thought I was gonna die for lack of a
No.
second there.
I'm sorry, I
Okay.
was actually looking at the payables.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? I don't think so, so. Kim?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
And Bill is aye. Then we have the approval of the claims. Does anyone see anything amiss on that?
I did not.
And then
I didn't either.
I would make a motion to pay them.
I'll second.
Tim has moved, Steve has seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Tim?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Kim?
aye.
And Bill is aye. Number 7, general discussion, board and committee reports. What do you have for us, Kim?
As I shared earlier, we had a Sioux Rivers Mental Health Governance Board meeting, and we approved a little over $300,000 in expenditures for this last month, which is a positive thing because we have funding that we need to use. The challenge we're having is we've allocated a considerable amount of money thinking that programs were going to be able to be done, and they can't get employees. They can't find a workforce.
Just,
And if we don't have a workforce, we can't help anybody. And so I really feel badly for her and for that program because it's a very important program, but they're just scrounging for funding. We're trying to find employees. We'd love to have workforce because there's funding. And here's the challenge with that, you guys. If we don't spend that money, it has to go back to the state, and then we get less money next year for mental health.
Well,
That's how the new
Actually,
program.
as I understand it, you get to keep the money, but you get less
We are-
money.
Same
Yeah,
difference.
it is.
We've already had that happen this year. So
Yeah,
we know the program. But it's a challenge, and so something's gotta change to start making this a program that's viable for a workforce. Then I met with Judge Peterson, Sheriff Balloon, our attorney Steve Goodlow, Jeff Thee and I, when we talked about the importance and options for providing security for our courtrooms. That's an ongoing conversation. But again, that will take additional funding, probably out of the sheriff's department to make that happen. We'd be looking for a part-time deputy to serve that role. Again, part-time during courtroom hours. So a lot of discussion was had. I think it is something we need to at least take a look at. So we'll have some numbers.
oh,
coming up.
definitely.
Then we had a recycling commission meeting. Both the Green Waste and Collection Center continue to be very busy. Other than that, nothing more to report.
I'll bet the cardboard amounts jumped since Christmas.
Yes, it does. Thank you, Amazon.
Steve,
I was gone and I had no meeting since I got back, so I just celebrated Christmas with family and
that's just
That's all I
pretty
did.
darn good.
yep,
isn't
that's
it?
all I did.
Okay,
Only thing I had was our Northwest Housing Trust meeting. We didn't have a quorum, so we didn't take any action, but we're pretty confident in saying that we're not gonna have to give agency awards this year. I think we've got the money spent, and that's a good thing.
Good.
Good.
excellent. As for Bill, I had no official meetings. I just went to Wayne Northey's funeral.
Very good.
And we now have our grand dog that we're taking care of while the kids are having a little vacation.
You know, Bill, I shouldn't say this, but my daughter's dog doesn't like me, so when they then go on vacation, they take it to the doggy hotel.
Okay, so you're saying I should beat this dog?
No, I
until
didn't say
it's
that.
one?
I
Oh,
just said how
okay.
lucky I am.
Oh, okay, if there's nothing else for the good of the cause, I would take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Kim has moved, Steve has seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none, Kim?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Tim?
Aye.
And Bill is aye. We are
Happy New Year.
officially adjourned at 9:27.
Happy New Year. And we meet
Feliz
next,
Nuevo Año.
we meet next Tuesday.